Mhm. Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. So, any questions on how was your yesterday? It looks good, or how the practice is going good. Any questions until Linux and shell scripting? Any questions, guys? Please respond, guys. If you have any questions, we can clarify those as well. Uh, Let me share my screen. Let me know once able to see my screen. Able to see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
So I
Yes,
think
sir.
this is the document you got everyone, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's briefly review the documentation. So introduction to DevOps process. So I think you already got the DevOps introduction and complete walkthrough about the DevOps. So basic of networking and cloud services. Basic of networking we discussed. Network related concept we have discussed. Introduction to VPN. This is not network for Windows. I think not required. And then Linux concepts we have introduced. We have worked, we have already completed introduction to Linux, Linux command line, files and directories. Just we will review it, and if anything miss, we will get back to that concept and we will complete that before going to start DevOps GitLab source code management tool. Okay. So introduction to Linux we have completed. So Linux command line. I mean Linux command line in the sense the basic commands. So we have completed files and directories. So we have completed, right? Files and directories.
Yes, Ravindra, completed.
So
Yes.
creating and editing files. Just respond, guys. Creating and editing files.
Yeah, done.
Sorry.
Completed, Ravindra.
Yeah, user group and permissions.
Yes, completed.
So other essential feature in the sense those are filter command. Other essential features in the sense like find command and permissions related to the chmod command related to the find command. The features disk space disk -l process command process on the Linux we have completed. So related to managing bash scripting. So other essential feature in the sense the filter commands what we have covered like grep command, cut command, pipeline command, and as well as awk command, scd command. So master based bash scripting. So file folder and relationships we have completed. Strings management like a string, whatever the strings we are going to assign and we declaring the variable as a string we have completed. Pipelines we have completed. Parameter and command substitution. The parameters what we have passing to the runtime variable and substituting to the respective variable. Search and replace also we have completed using std command or va command. Anything we
What is
have missed?
metadata?
So
Metadata means?
this is related to the conditional statements. Like if conditions, if conditions, the scripting part, all the conditional statement will come under metadata.
What about pipeline?
The pipeline in the sense we have pipeline concept, right? In the filter concept, filter things like redirecting output into one file.
Okay.
You know about the symbols, right? Like this, greater than, single greater than, double greater than, the pipe symbols. So those will be using into the pipeline script, I mean shell script.
Okay.
So version control system. Introduction to these are the topics we are going to cover as a version control system. That means source code management tool. Introduction to version control system with Git. Git from the command line. What are the commands we are going to use? Everyday Git commands. What are the commands we are going to use for everyday? GitHub and GitLab runners, Git branch approvals, Git tagging and branching and merging and workflow, Git hands-on with project 2. This will going to cover as a Git project. Any questions? Anyone knows about Git previously or any topics we need to cover other than this? Anyone having any idea on this?
Will YAML basics covered as a part of this or through a different topic?
Sorry,
YAML, creating a YAML file, YAML basics.
that will come under CI/CD pipeline, right?
Okay, thank you.
Just we will talk about GitLab runners and use of the GitLab runners. So we have CI/CD concept, right? Continuous integrated continuous delivery. There we can try to explain you the how to create a GitLab YAML files and how to integrate the pipeline. That we can.
So
We'll also
NC
be
will
discussing
also,
about Git stash and all, right?
Yeah, those will come under Git from the command line. Git stash, Git merge, Git push, Git add, Git commit, Git pull, Git fetch,
Thank you.
Git merge, Git, everything will come under command line.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harish.
No, actually, I thought you were not talking, so that's why I said that.
Okay. So this will comes all the topics what we can cover as much we can cover in the GitLab. So if anything I miss, you can reminder me, or you can raise your voice so we can cover that as well. Okay. So let's talk about what is source code management tool, not the Git. What is the source code management? So before SCM, just think about in a generic way. Before source code management tool, so before source code management tool, so how we are storing our code and how we are making as a backup? Just tell me anyone. Either like as a Java code base or shell scripting or anything. Can anyone explain how we are getting the backup of the code and how we are where we are storing the code? So for example, before SCM, we are writing a lot of scripts like shell scripting and Java code, anything, whatever it may be. Those are in our laptop, correct? Either Linux server. You can treat it as a Linux server or you can treat it as a Windows laptop. But something happens in your laptop or Windows server. Our laptop got crash, and your Linux server got crash. Something happened and you are not able to access those servers, either laptop or either Linux server or Windows, anything. What would be the causes? You may lose your content, right? So entire data you are going to lose, right? Is it true?
Yes, it is true.
So for example, if it is a less number of code, so you know that lines of code what you have there in our laptop. For example, 10 lines of code or 5 lines of code, you know completely lines, and you have the capability to remember your lines of piece of code, and you can return your another file or another laptop. You can get back and you can return your those lines of piece of code. So if it is less number of lines, or 10 lines, or 5 lines, or 2 lines. So day by day, your script got increased. For example, let me open one of the scripts. This is, for example, this is my Python script. Okay. So from day one, I have written 20. From day one, I have used 19 line numbers. I know I can able to remember what are the commands I have used from to 19, or I have the snapshot, or I have the photo of the changes. I can. So after one day, you have added one more lines. Now you have 24 lines. This is day 2. Just I'm giving you the example, guys. Day 1. And this is day 3. This is day 4. Okay. So now I have 54 line piece of code. So first day, I have written 10 lines of code, 20 lines of code. Second day, again, I have written again 6 lines of code, and it is add on to previous lines. There are total 26 lines. I have worked on totally 2 days, and 26 lines got completed. Day 3, I have added some more lines, and it got added to 40 lines. Day 4, I have added some more lines. It got added 40 lines for 54 lines. Okay. So day by day, your script got increasing, right? Correct.
Yes,
So
sir.
after few days, just respond, guys, because if you are not understanding it, I have to explain some other way. So I'm thinking this is the best way I'm explaining, but you are not understanding, just raise your voice so I can explain you another way, best way to understand the concept. So in few days, for example, this is file name called my Python script. For example, my python.py. This is your script name. So after 1 month, after 1 year, you can able to recollect the what you did for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Out of 54 lines, day 1, how many lines you have added? Day 2, how many lines you have added? Is it possible to get the script changes for day by day? After 1 year, after 1 month, after 1 week, or next day, whatever it may be, doesn't matter. Is it possible to uh, recollect the changes what you did day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4? Is it possible?
If you update somewhere, it is possible.
Sorry.
Like here, it is not possible.
Not here in any Linux server. I mean, I'm talking about before SCM. So you are storing in our Python script in our Linux server into a file, or Windows server into a file. So you are going to opening the file day by day and adding some more lines, You have worked on 1 week. After 1 month, you want to know what changes I have did for day 1, day 2, day 3. So is it possible to recollect the changes what you did day 1, day 2? So it is not
No.
possible, and it is very difficult to recollect the remainder the changes if you get back to the older days. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That means whatever the drawbacks we are facing it here before SEM, like the drawbacks will be there is no version, like there is no version means there is no version of like kind of thing like what you did day 1, what you did day 2, what you did day 3. That kind of versioning format you don't have right before SEM. That is one of the drawback. So there is no security. That means if server crashes, you can give guarantee to get back the you can restore the file. If server crashes, I'm not talking about file deleted. If file deleted, you can run your backup script. You can run your backup and restore concept, and you can restore your original file. But I am talking about entire server crashes. How you can? No, right? That is one of the drawback. Let me put in a note, okay? Drawbacks. Drawbacks of before SCM. SCM in the sense source code management introduced. Before source code management introduced, there is no versioning format. There is no security. So there is no security means suddenly your system crash or your server crash. So you may lose your entire data. That is called there is no security. Next one is for example, in a Windows you have the file. So is it possible to single file can be changed by multiple persons? I have the Python script. So is it possible to open a single file and make the changes at a time?
If it has the necessary permissions.
No, in the Windows, for example, in Windows and a generic way, so you can able to do it, but it is very difficult to achieve that, right?
Yeah.
It is possible, but in a generic way, it is not possible until unless what you said. Necessary permissions that you have to get it from the admin user. That is difficult, but we can achieve it, right? Code
Yes.
management. Code management. So code management in a sense, a single file can be changed by multiple persons having the same file, but for all the users is very difficult. We can able to, but it is very difficult. And then it is another one is can't able to find out the username, like who did the changes. For example, I'm talking about sixth point. For example, you have the admin access or you have the root access. If you go with Windows, you have the admin access. If you go with Linux server, you have the root access. If you go with Windows, you have the admin access. I have the admin access. If I open the file, if I open the Python file, any file, not in the Python file, just we are talking about Python file, right? That is the reason just so I have modified sys. You know about the changes who did. Are you giving a guarantee to change it by respective user? Hey, you are the person changed by this name into this name. You have modified from instead of SMTP lib, you have modified to sys. So can you give the guarantee of the respective user? Only that person is changed by the content, like who did the changes, who modified the changes, like that. Is there any history of that to find out the changes? No. If, for example, if I open the Linux, if I open the putty server, for example, okay, my VM is not
I
able
think
to
in
connect.
case of Linux, we'll need to refer to the session logs and try to
But it is
correlate.
no. You are the root user. I am also root user. I have login as a root user. You are also login as a root user. So you have totally 15 people are there. The 15 people are logged in as a root user. They modified the file sample.sh or variable.sh. How should you can confirm? Mansi has changed some respective change, or Harish has changed some lines of code. Vishal, something. How can you confirm that there is no possibility to confirm the respective person, the respective changes did by the respective person, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Got my point, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that is not possible. So whatever the drawbacks or whatever the we have discussed before SEM, the disadvantages or drawbacks, we will overcome by the version control system as a source code management tool. Clear about before SEM and what we are going to overcome the issues? Getting me?
Yes, clear.
So we have two source code management tools. Source code management tools having two types. One is centralized architecture. The source code management having two types. One is centralized architecture. Another one is distributed. Can you explain me the general meaning of these two, centralized and distributed? In a generic meaning, I'm talking about.
In centralized, the code is stored at one central location. For distributed, there are replicas of the code which would provide availability.
Yeah. So in that is called that is in the technical world. In the generic, team needs to people needs to understand the generic thing, right? What is meant by centralized? Forget about source code management too. In a generic meaning, centralized and distributed. So for example, you have one store. Okay. So if you go to the respective store and collect your things and back to your home, that means that is not changeable. You are going to that location and you are collecting your ingredients and going back to your home. That means the store is centralized. That means it is not at like uh, moving to another place, right? It is fixed in some place, and whoever wants to get some of the items, they can go to the store and they can collect and get back to the home. That means centralized. It can be one place, correct? Distributed in the sense you can get some orders like that in the reverse order. They can distribute based on your orders. They can come to your home and distribute your things, whatever things you are needed. So you have so you called to the respective store and you have given some kind of information. So this is I want, this is I want. So you have ordered the some of the list of items. They can note down all the list of the orders and they can collect and they can distribute you instead of going to you. Getting me? Mansi, Harish, Vishal.
Yes, yes. Distributed architecture means it does not stay in one location, right?
Sorry. Can you repeat, Harish?
Distributed, that means it is not stored in one location, right?
Yes, it will be stored in one place only, but it can be distributed across from there, not from yours. You are going to centralized system and you are collecting your things, right? So in the distributed in the sense, in the reverse order, they can distribute to others. Whoever wants, whoever wants. Those people can't. Those people no need to come to the store and collect the information. They can distribute as you want, whatever you want. Getting me?
Yes.
So, a centralized architecture in the sense SVM, one of the source code management tool as SVM. So distributed architecture in the sense GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket. Okay. So whatever the drawbacks we have in before SEM, those will be, this is introduced first. Okay. Centralized architecture is introduced first by overcoming these issues. Clear? But in SVN also we have some drawbacks. So let me talk about SVN. Now we are clear, right? There is no confusion, right?
Yes, got it.
Okay.
That means
So
we are not using SVN nowadays. Am I correct?
yes, correct. So before, I mean, earlier days we have SVN also. After facing some issues and some drawbacks not reaching before SEM, introduced distributed architecture that is called GitLab, GitHub, and Bitbucket. So whatever the drawbacks we have in before SEM, some of the drawbacks are got resolved in SVN centralized architecture. But here also we have some drawbacks. So we are overcoming those drawbacks. These two drawbacks in distributed architecture. Clear? But I can tell you the drawbacks here and what drawbacks we are overcoming here. Okay.
Okay, Ravi.
So SVM, centralized architecture. The simply we can say what is meant by centralized architecture in a DevOps technical term. Centralized architecture is nothing but all the code will be maintained in a only one single server. Okay, all the code will be maintained in a one single server. If by mistake the server crashes, you will lose the complete setup, our laptops, and only the current version of the code is available, but not the previous versions. Only whatever the current changes you have in your local, that can be available, not the previous versions. Previous versions in the sense, like you did past days, last 1 week ago, last 1 month ago, those changes are not available. Only the current changes are available. Let me talk about in a diagram manner. This is your laptop. Okay. This is your SVN server or centralized repository or centralized architecture. This is SVN repository. This is SVN. This is your laptop. So whenever you are logged into the day, you have to connect to the server before going to work on the code. So your complete code is stored into SVN. If this crashes, you can get it from the SVN. If this crashes, you can get it from the laptop, only the current version. If both crashes, no one cannot do anything. No one can help you. Okay. So the SVN, one problem here actually in SVN, whenever you are trying to do the changes or whenever you are making the changes, you need to connect to the SVN before making the changes. That means you're always you're always having the connection of your laptop to SVN. That means you are always providing the network. Getting me? So whenever you are making the changes, make sure your network is good and your laptop and your repository is connected to the SVN. So you have to do the changes directly into the SVN repository instead of changing into the local. So what you can do first, you can establish the connection between SVN to your local in the sense your laptop. Connection establish. So after connection established, the successfully you have connected to the SVN repository. Then you can try to make the changes into the SVN repository. If in between your network got disconnected, you can't able to make the changes into the SVN. Make sure your network is in line. You are always connected to the network. The drawbacks of in SVN is getting me, or you have any questions? First one is you should to manage your SVN with better efficiency means better network, better connection. You can say simply. If server in SVN, if SVN crashes, only current version of the code will be available. Third one, when both the crashes, complete code will lose. So coming to distributed architecture. Yeah, please.
Ravi, sorry to remind, how you work with SVN in earlier? Can you give elaboration on that?
In SVN, we have one repository. Okay. So in SVN, we will have some SVN, we have to install your local. So from there, from the tool, we will give the repository link, and from where whatever the link you have we have given to the SVN tool, right? That will be establish the connection between your local to repository. But if that code is not available in our local, that is it kind of mediator tool. I can say.
That means is the tool or server we are creating on that SVN?
So from the tool, we are establishing the connection to the server.
Okay.
So we have the HTTPS link of the repository. For example, you have created a Java project in SVN repository. So you will get HTTPS link and then repository folder name and then project name. You will get the link. So with the help of this link, we will establish the connection between your laptop to your SVN repository in between the SVN tool. Getting me?
So we have separate tool called SVN tool.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Ravindra, sorry to remind us. Try to give explanation with diagram so we can easily understood everything.
This is the diagram. This is your laptop. So you will get in repository. So tomorrow class, I will try to create one SVN server and the practice. I will give you the more about that, how to establish and how to make it.
Okay.
This time making the difference of both. What was the use of what is the use of SVN? How we are not using it? What is the use of GitHub? Sorry. This is called developer 1. Okay.
Okay.
Developer 2. Developer 3. Developer 4. Developer 5. This is distributed. This is distributed. Called Git. Okay. So you can think about these are all the developers. This is your center distributed repository. First, what they can do? They can clone the project or they can clone the repository into the developer 1 laptop. They can developer 2 also follow the same. Developer 3 also follow the same. Developer 4 also follow the same. Developer 5 also follow the same. That means that one setup is available in how many places? One repository code is available in how many places? How many developers? There are 5 developers, correct?
Yes.
If this crashes, for example, we can get it from any one of the developer, right? The complete code, not the current version. That is the capability of Git. So whatever the changes we have past years, past 10 years also, we can get it from any of the developer respect to the repository. Got my point? If it is there, this is not crashed. This is one developer system got crashed. You can get it directly from the Git again, right? You can clone it again. So compared to SVN, we have some flexibility to get the complete code, not the current code, current versions. We can get the complete version of the code, right? In distributed architecture. So for example, this is crash. This is also crash. This is also crash. This is also crash. This is also crash. So one is there. So one system is enough to get back the complete code. If everything is crashes and one system is enough to get back the complete setup. If this will also crash, no one can't give you the security or can't give you the assurance or guarantee to get back the code. Correct? At least we will achieve some drawbacks in SVN and before SCM, right? So simply we can say distributed in the sense maintaining the same setup code in all the systems or multiple systems is nothing but distributed architecture. So I think 99%, 99.99%, all the code base are migrated to Git. When I joined in my company last 5 years, I am using SVN. So from that, after 1 year, the complete code migration got happened from SVN to Git. We have migrated using some of the code migration tool. That time we have lose everything of the commits, everything of the history of the SVN. Only we got one history name called migrated the code from SVN to Git. That is the commit message we got it while trying to migrate the SVN to Git. From on top of that, all the histories we will able to see. Getting me? So one more point I can stress out here. In SVN, what I have told you, whenever you are going to make the changes, whenever you are making the changes, make sure you have good network. You have connected to the SVN repository, correct?
Yes.
So in GitLab, not required that much of internet connection, but internet connection is required, but not, we are not relying on the complete on the network connection. At the time of code cloning into your local, when it is required. At the time of code cloning, please under code cloning and code push. Only these two cases, internet connection is required. So when we are going to code changes and code development, right? That time without internet also you can implement your changes or you can work on your changes. Not required your internet connection. Only the cloning and pushing time only network is required. In SVN, whenever you are making the changes, you have to make sure good network. In Git, a distributed architecture, you can work your changes without connecting the Git repository, without network. So you can get your full charging of your laptop and work on your changes 1 week without network also, without internet also. Whenever we are doing the changes to the Git, whenever you are pushing the changes to the distributed repository or Git repository, that time also you need internet connection. Clear? Are you clear?
Yes.
Any questions?
Yes, Ravindra, I have a question here. Let's assume the Git,
Sure.
all the things are in cloud, for example, and all the developers will be working in their laptops, right? I mean, that is
Okay.
what we are trying to understand, right? Developer one means
Yes,
is
yes.
working in his laptop and
Yes.
all the below
Yes,
things
yes,
are
correct.
laptop. So for example, developer one is working on, let's assume it's an YAML, and developer two is working on Java. Then how come this distributed works here? Uh, the developer one's YAML will be totally gone if this centralized repository is gone, no?
No, based on the respective project. So you are not working on some other projects also, right? Whatever the project you are working, that is your responsibility to maintain the code. Getting me?
Okay. But even if you take in my project, I'll have 3-4 developers. I'll be working on some other like uh, some other part of the code, and developer two will be working on some other part of the code. But I will not clone my. I will just if I'm a developer one, I'll just clone my requirement. I mean my part of the code, but I will not be cloning the developer two part of the code, right?
No. When we are trying to clone the repository, right, into your laptop,
Mhm.
if it is respect to the that Git repository, so developer one is working different file and developer two working different file, you mean to say, when you are trying to clone the project, it will clone complete code from the GitHub, whatever the code it is available at the time of cloning. After cloning, you are doing some changes. That is individual to your individual developer only. Whatever the set code of whatever the piece of code is available in GitLab, right? That piece of code you have cloned it. So, but we have multi branching strategy. All the branches code also available in our local, not only your branch or your code. So I have created. Let me give you the. So developer one is working on some feature branch. Okay. Developer two is working on fixed branch. I mean, hotfix branch, for example, hotfixes. Developer 3 working on main branch. So whenever you are trying to clone from Git to your local, these 3 branches will automatically clone into your laptop. Developer 2 also have 3 branches of the code. Developer 3 also 3 branches of the code. But they can work on their branch only. But the code is available. But they can switch to the respective branch and they can work on it.
Okay. Okay.
Got my point?
Yeah, now I understood. I guess
Okay.
after practicals, I will
Yes,
get
yes,
better
correct.
understanding on this. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yes. Anyone having any technical questions on this about explanation?
No, Ravi, good to go.
Okay. Yeah. So I told you, right? We have SVN tool.
Yes.
So we have, I told you, right? To connect to the SVN, we have some tool to connect to the SVN repository, right? The tool name
Yes,
called Tortoise SVN. So if you install Tortoise SVN, that how we are doing the development, right? Eclipse or some other tool, Visual Studio, some other tool, one of the, instead of Eclipse, we have one more Java tool, right? Like that, how we are developing the Java code, Eclipse or Visual Studio, some other third-party tools we are using, right?
Yes, Ravi.
So like that, Tortoise SVN is the tool to establish the connection between your local to remote repository. I mean, that SVN repository. So in the tool, they can work on the changes. How we are opening the workspace in our Eclipse or your Visual Studio. Like that, you can open your workspace and then make the changes. So that means you no need to push the changes directly. You are working on the repository.
Okay.
Got you right clearly on SVN how it will be. Okay, guys. Tomorrow we will talk about how the Git architecture. Now we have differentiated before SCM. What is the drawbacks we have overcome in the source code management tool? Source code management will have two architectures. One is decentralized, one is distributed. What is the difference of both and individual? And in the Git architecture, in the distributed architecture, we have Git tool, right? GitLab, Bitbucket, some other tools, right? Source code management tools. So what is Git architecture? How Git will work? How Git architecture like Git Bash, Bitbucket, GitLab. These are all the tools, Git tools, affiliation tools. So what is the Git architecture, what it will do, how the Git will work? So architecture we will explain you tomorrow and some basic commands. And tomorrow class, what we have to do, right? You have to install Git Bash and try to create one GitLab account. It is very straightforward, guys. How you guys are creating as AWS account or Gmail account, right? Like that. Try to create one GitLab account and install Git Bash. This two is enough. Okay. For tomorrow class.
Yeah, to have a better understanding, I just need the differences of what is GitLab, GitHub, and Git Bash. Like,
Yeah, tomorrow
I
we
mean,
will Git
okay.
architecture we have explained. We will explain, right? So in that we will walk through the three tools. I mean, Any one is fine, but what makes the difference we can explain.
Okay,
Now
yeah.
I haven't started Git architecture. Tomorrow I will start Git architecture. So what is the Git will work? That will be common for GitLab, GitHub, GitLab and Bitbucket. So what is the difference of both three?
Okay.
Ravi, you said these are Atlassian tools. What does it mean?
Those are the, those tools developed by the Atlassian name actually, Atlassian person,
Okay.
community, Atlassian community, developed by the Atlassian. How the, for example, Jenkins also developed by the Atlassian tool. Like that, they have developed the projects actually. So try to install Git Bash and try to create GitLab account. So we are going to walk through GitLab, Bitbucket and GitHub also, but we are focusing on the GitLab because uh, GitLab is straightforward, and as well as we have CI/CD pipeline also, and the commands will be the same. Whatever the commands and whatever the explanation we are providing as a GitLab, right? Source code management tool, all will be the same commands in GitHub and Bitbucket also. Only the difference here, UI makes the difference. While navigating the web UI of the GitLab or Bitbucket or GitHub, that will be the difference, like little bit, not the completely, little bit. It will be the difference. But the command meaning and where we have to use everything will be the same only. So tomorrow we will discuss more on that. The say all are in open source code only. Okay, all are in open source code only. The difference we can talk about more tomorrow. That will be take time to. Okay.
Oh, how big is this topic, Ravindra? Like how many classes it takes to complete?
It will take almost 1 week to complete.
Okay.
Mostly we will complete by week. 1 week.
On Git, right?
Yeah, Git. Yes, correct.
Okay, Ravi, thank you for your valuable time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.